Welcome to the Stormsurf Video Surf Forecast for Sunday, November 24th. Looking at the significant wave height chart for the North Pacific, we see no activity off the U.S. West Coast. We see what looks to be possibly a front of some sort about midway between Hawaii and the U.S. West Coast, and then some sort of activity on the dateline. This is the area of most promise for the coming week. Let's dig into it a little bit deeper. First on our tour, we'll take a look at the upper level winds, jet stream level 250 millibar. We see a decent flow coming off Japan, actually located pretty far to the south in the 30 to 35 north range, flowing to the dateline. A little pocket of energy here, about 150 knot winds, fall into something that could almost be construed to be a trough, but there's no energy down at the bottom of this trough. And then the jet stream splits, with half of it going up into Canada, the other half into the U.S. West Coast. This typically would support high pressure here, and if there was a trough here, it would support low pressure. There's also a little dip in the jet here. That would tend to support low pressure too, but in reality, nothing at the moment is suggesting any good upper level support for low pressure or gale development down at the surface. Let's put this in motion, take a look, and see what happens. Okay, instantly, 24 hours later, you see good, not great, but 130, 140 knot winds setting up, diving into this new trough developing here on the dateline. And whatever was a trough here is pretty much washing out. Let's put it into motion a little bit more and take a peek. Now you have even 42, we can go out 48 hours, you have a nice trough here on the dateline. This is about midday Tuesday, and yet a second trough forming in the Gulf of Alaska. Kind of a strange little pattern where there's no wind really here, but that's really, you got this split thing still going on, a trough trying to form in between it. You also have this kind of a ridging pattern here, not sure how that's going to play out, but there's a good amount of wind energy flowing off of Asia into both this trough and the next trough. And what's even better is you see the winds not only just diving into the bottom of the trough, but coming back around, almost helping to complete the circulation here. So we'll put this into a little bit more motion, and you see that trough continues to hold. This trough pinches off here, just off of the San Francisco area on Wednesday. We go a little bit longer, and then basically this trough starts getting cut off. Wind energy up north here, still not horrendous, and this trough starts moving into the U.S. West Coast on Thursday. We continue the flow, and this by the weekend, late Friday, this trough north of Hawaii pretty much pinched off. This one moving inland, and you got this big flow going up north, which suggests a cutoff flow, which is not good. We'll keep on going, and then you go back into almost a zonal flow, but there's a lot of wind energy not associated with the southern branch of the jet up here in the north, and things basically just get fairly discombobulated and not real supportive of gale activity. So we do have a little bit of hope, though, in the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday time frame. Let's take a look at surface level winds, surface level pressure as of right now using the 18Z model on Sunday. There's some sort of low pressure trying to form, doesn't have great upper level support, so probably not a whole lot's going to happen to it immediately. A little pocket of 30 knot winds, mostly 25 knot winds, but that's good for wind swell into the islands, you know, maybe 10 or 11 second period wind swell. Put that into motion. Oh, and here's that front that we saw on the wave model chart, or what I was guessing was a front. And then you see high pressure pretty much protecting the U.S. West Coast, and light offshore, sort of southeasterly wind pattern further up north. That's pretty much what's happening, calm light winds. Put this into motion over the next, into 18 hours out, you're into Monday, and you already have low pressure starting to develop north of Hawaii. Little patches of 35 knot winds. I mean, this is real meager, but it's a start, and you have another low starting to develop down at the surface. Nothing organized yet. Both these are right where you'd expect them to be based on the upper level chart, so the troughs are doing what would be expected. Okay, now we're into Monday night, 45 knot winds in this first gale off the U.S. West Coast. All this energy, for the most part, is aimed east or southeast, not much in the Hawaiian Islands Great Circle path. But you have a bigger system behind it here, so let's just sort of see how this plays out. boom, here we go. Tuesday, nice 45 knot winds in this southwest quadrant here. Probably going to wrap into the southern quadrant, again targeting the U.S. West Coast, and a much larger system here on the date line. Put it into motion. There we go. A decent area of 45 knot winds pushing right down the Great Circle past to Hawaii, also a little bit the U.S. This guy's starting to peter out now. He's done his thing. We'll put it into motion, let it roll here. It basically fades, moves towards the U.S. West Coast, while this one continues good, solid, healthy circulation, 35, almost 40 knot winds, 18Z Wednesday. And then it all sort of peters out and fades, and we're into Friday, and it's over, and then we're back into this kind of weak high pressure regime off the U.S. West Coast, light winds down the coast, a light trade pattern for the islands, and then basically nothing. We'll roll it out here. Another low tries to form over the date line, no real upper level support for it, and that was it. It's dead. Okay, we're back to the significant wave height chart now, North Pacific. Let's roll this out and see what effect winds have on the ocean surface in terms of sea height production. And again, we're tracking this first little low, what are these, 18-foot seas as of Monday sometime. Actually, a little bit of that might be aimed at the island, so that's good for something, not a whole lot. And again, the second system back by the date line getting a little more developed. Okay, and here we are, we're into 6Z Tuesday, that's like Monday night. 30-foot seas aimed directly at the U.S. West Coast. Tiny little area, but hey, well, it's been really flat. Any energy is good. And if we're talking 45 knot winds and 30-foot seas, that's good for some sort of 17-second period swell. Now, the cool thing here is even if you're in Southern California, notice the Great Circle tracks. You have energy going down the looks like about the 295-degree track, still a little bit north for Southern California, but for Northern California, you're on the 286-degree track. That's couldn't be better. Relative to Hawaii, this system is basically all the energy's aimed east, any track to the islands. So let's just put it into motion, see what happens. You notice it continues to build a little, falling southeast, and by the time you're into Tuesday night, even Southern California has energy coming in on the 287-degree track, so that's under the 290 shadow, so that'll put swell even into Southern California. Certainly for Northern California too, we're down into the 279-degree track. We'll actually go back a frame. It's strongest right in about the 285, 86. So let's say 285 to 290 degrees for Northern California. Okay, put this back into motion, and then we'll go take a look at this new system developing, and we'll give you the Hawaii tracks here, and we're into the 320 roughly range. Keep going. There you go. You got 32-foot seas sinking south right into the Hawaiian Islands. That's not bad, but also pushing, watch this, energy up into Northern California and Southern California too. A little bit north though. This is the 287, so 290, pretty close to the cutoff there. We'll put it continue in motion. It fades pretty fast, but you still get a good push of energy. If you watch this, we'll go back like that, and sort of watch this track as it goes right along the 286-degree path, pushing right into the U.S. So the reality is, though, this storm is close to Hawaii, though it's actually kind of looks like it's pushing energy initially there, then all the energy focuses in the south quadrant, cuts across the tracks, and pushes to the U.S. West Coast. So the good news is there's potential swell energy not from only the first one for this area, but also for the second one towards the U.S. West Coast and Hawaii, of course, too. So maybe a little bit of a present for everyone. Of course, that's assuming the models do, what the models say actually pans out in reality. So then you have steadily decaying seas and not a whole lot of swell generation after, let's go back to, I would say, about midday Thursday. So moving on through, then everything just sort of peters out, and there isn't a whole lot going on after that because, again, no upper level support. But the good news is here, if you want to believe the models, it looks like there's something trying to form. So historically looking at what's been going on over the past week, both these systems have come and gone on the charts multiple times. At one point, the Dateline system had up to 40-foot seas here on the Dateline. Then it dissipated to almost nothing, and now it's coming back. Same deal with this one. It was up there near 35 feet at one point. It faded to nothing about 48 hours ago, and now it's trying to make a comeback. So who knows what's really going to happen, but it's a step in the right direction. Let's also go back a week. There was two little systems we want to look at. First, this little guy here, which is, I think I was already pushed swell. This was as of Wednesday, so that swell's already, it's bound for Hawaii on Monday. We're talking 17-foot seas, so really nothing of any significance. And then a second system formed on the Dateline, 26-foot seas. Actually got a satellite pass over this, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. That suggested seas were probably a little bit less than what was hinted at here. But that, again, that's good for another tiny pulse of swell for the islands, the U.S. West Coast. But we're very small system, very long ways, no big deal. Okay. Next, we have Jason 2 satellite data. This just came online for Stormsurf as of about not even a week ago. We've been toying with it, trying to tune up some of the data. There's still some extraneous, some strange, funky readings that pop out of it every now and then, but for the most part, we've got it dialed pretty much where we want it. The point being here, we got a satellite pass directly over this system that formed on Saturday with 26-foot seas. You see what the model says, made a pass right over. Average readings were 25.3 feet. That's about 15 consecutive readings right over the core of the storm, and with an average of 25 feet with a peak reading at 29 feet. So the reality is the system did about exactly what the models suggested, which is good news. So there will be some energy coming both U.S. West Coast and Hawaii from this one. So wanted to share that information. You can find all information for the entire globe, all satellite passes now available on the site in the altimetry section. It's under, here we'll go, it's right under the models section, if we can get it there. If you navigate right up here under models and you scroll down to here, and then here's all the satellite data you'd want to see from the Jason 2 satellite. So this is really cool. We're excited about this new feature. Actually, we had it before with the Jason 1 satellite, but it died, and it's been quite a struggle to get a hold of the Jason 2 data, get it working, but we finally got it up about 5 days ago, so enjoy it. Quick look at Southern Oscillation Index numbers. Currently, the daily average, 20.74, really high, suggestive of the inactive phase of the MJO. 30-day average is rising. Previously was down around -4. Now it's up to 2.46. And the 90-day average is on the rise to 2.97. Again, this is sort of like lagging data. It takes a while for the SOI to actually register what's going on at the surface. There's other data we're going to look at that's a lot more current, but this gives you sort of long-term trends of what's going on. Here's a graphical depiction of the Southern Oscillation Index over the past 2+ years. You can see when we were in the peak of La Nina, numbers way positive, up 25. Got a little bit of a dip 2 years ago, and then an even better dip in the summer, last summer, 2012. Almost thought we were moving into an El Nino, but then the trend, you could draw a line through that and see that it rebounded significantly into this summer. And then just as of recently, it looks like we're starting to head back down, which is good news. That gives us some hope for later this winter. This also, and also looking at other indices, which we'll get into, it sort of suggests that somewhere right around about October time frame, we finally fully recovered from La Nina and came into a pure neutral pattern. Not great, not El Nino, but certainly a lot better than La Nina. Quick look at surface level wind anomalies. These are deviations from normal. General easterly flow. This is in the West Pacific on the equator. This is, again, like the SOI index, suggests the inactive phase of the MJO. Looking further east, it's sort of easterly to about a point south of Hawaii, and then everything just goes neutral on into Central America. So in all, a weak incarnation of the inactive phase of the MJO. Looking a week out, you notice those easterly anomalies actually start to dissipate a little bit left here, just east of the Philippines, but then you almost get a couple of arrows indicating westerly anomalies, but extremely weak. And then this is a week out, by the way, December 2nd, and then over the eastern half of the Pacific, it's all neutral anomalies. So the inactive phase, at least per this model, is suggested to die out, which would be good. It'd be great to see an active phase, but this is the dynamic model that's driving this too, so we'll take a little bit longer. Here's another view of that, but this is based on outgoing long-wave radiation. The blue is the active phase of the MJO, that is more cloud cover and more weather. The yellow suggests easterly winds and a lot of surface reflection, high pressure, and the inactive phase. So we're talking right now pretty much neutral, though clearly the wind anomalies suggest still lingering easterly anomalies. As we move into about a week out, we notice here comes, per this model, the statistic model, the active phase of the MJO. So that looks good. But if we go look at the dynamic model, which is what was driving those other charts we saw just a minute ago, it suggests the active phase is supposed to come in about 5 days out, and then all of a sudden, boom, we're back into the inactive phase. Typically, you don't see this radical of a change in the MJO, so I suspect something's a little screwy here, and it's hard to say how it's going to play out. Let's go take a look at the upper level, jet stream level layout. This goes out 40 days too, but as of right now, here's the inactive phase. The green is inactive phase, or upper level winds conducive to precipitation. You see it migrate basically across the Pacific from today through till about the middle of December. And then you see the inactive phase starting about the middle of December, making the same trek across the Pacific into early January. And as the inactive phase is leaving into the east, here comes the active phase again. So this is pretty normal, you know. One wave positive, one wave negative, another wave positive. So, but none of these are particularly strong one way or the other. It's all very light activity, which kind of suggests more of the same of what we've been going through. Real quick look here at subsurface water temperatures. Notice, and so the date line is here. These are the actual numbers. These are the anomalies. That's what we're interested in. Notice this pocket of warm water here. This is actually an eastward moving Kelvin wave. It started out back on the date line, has been steadily progressing east. It's made it to about 140 and hasn't made a whole lot of progress east of there for almost a week now, but the expectation is that it'll continue to work its way in here to the coast of Ecuador, gurgle up on the surface, and then rotate back and help build the warm pool off the Central America. So here's global surface water temperature anomalies, deviations from normal. If you see piles of cold water here, that's La Nina. Piles of warm water, that's El Nino. What we actually see here is sort of a hybrid. There's a nice little modestly warm bit of water that's been just north of the equator, been hanging there pretty much all summer. Most of the summer there's been considerably cooler pockets of water gurgling off of Peru and working their way along the equator here. They've been pretty much dampened now, and you get just this mild cooler pocket here, nothing too outrageous, kind of suggestive of just basically a neutral pattern. And then we look for a sort of a mirror flow off Africa. The same thing can happen. You get cold water pulling off of here, and but we don't see that. We see pretty much neutral water temperatures. So that suggests pretty much a neither El Nino nor La Nina, just neutral. The other thing is up in this region, there's been a lot of warm water. It's been steadily progressing east. It actually impacted the California coast a month or two ago, but then high pressure buildup started the north winds, and here you see pockets of cold water, especially up in central California. The water is not warm. It's been pretty cool and doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Actually, you can see if you had high pressure circulating here, there's the path of the upwelling from the edge of the high pressure blowing south or northeast winds, but the trades don't actually make it into the Hawaiian Islands. So this is not anything major. In short, a neutral pattern, nothing outrageous one way or the other going on. And finally, one last model that sort of suggests a variety of different runs of the same model of where water temperatures off of Ecuador are going to go over the next 6 months or so. And basically, more of the same, maybe this steady, gradual warming, a degree or two, or no, I'm sorry, a couple of tenths of a degree, not even half a degree. So that's not really suggestive of El Nino, but you know what? Warmer is a lot better than if the average line was sitting down here at -0.5 or -1. So we're in neutral territory, the end of La Nina. We're in recovery phase. It's been a long recovery. It's been 3 years since that big El Nino in 2009, 2010, and ever since then it's been dominated by La Nina. But it finally looks like we're over the hump from that. And things are returning to a more normal pattern and more conducive to storm production and swell development. So this is all good news. So to wrap it up real quick, the good news is potentially 2 swell producers, nothing outrageous, but swell production nonetheless in the coming days. By Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning, most of it will have already happened, and then it's just a matter of swell propagating in the U.S. West Coast, Hawaii, and any other area that's in range of these systems. So that's good news, something to look forward to, something to be thankful for, indeed. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate all the comments that everyone's provided on the YouTube channel. That's good. Thanks for subscribing. We'll continue to do this as long as people are interested and it provides value. If there's things you don't like or things you want added, send us a comment or whatever, and we'll be happy to try to incorporate it into the forecast. And of course, as we get more storms and really get some more activity going on, we'll focus more on the details of the storms and less on the overall picture. But we're kind of, since there's not a whole lot happening, we've been trying to do focus on the long-term synopsis and that sort of stuff, so at least we get a sense of whether there's something coming in the future. And it appears that we're in a decent place, at least for a couple days and for the long holidays. So enjoy your turkey and your Thanksgiving and friends and family. Thanks.